On. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm so sorry. My computer has a little glitch. That's what we do over here at the Cryptid Huntress. We have glitches sometimes, and but hey, the show must go on. We're all here tonight, and I am so glad that you guys are joining us. I have a fantastic remote viewing target for us tonight. I have something that is super recent, something that's been in the news. I was tasked with a blind remote viewing target of the giant, okay, the alleged giant from Oregon that has been in the news. Well, it hasn't been on like mainstream news. It has been on TikTok, okay, and social media, but it's made a big old stir all over the country. And we're going to get into this. It's going to be awesome. And I have a really fantastic co-host here with me tonight. I have Mark Machek, aka Cryptiville, in the studio with me tonight. You guys are going to remember him from being on my Dogman show on Halloween night, the 5 Nights of Dogman, and you guys know him as Cryptidville in the chats and on his YouTube channel. Okay, well, if you guys would like to follow along with what I'm doing, all my shows, I have my website. That's the cryptidhuntress.com, and I have all of my shows there. I just uploaded a ton of pictures, okay, from my latest adventure. I was out in the woods this past weekend. I went on an expedition with all 3 of my teams. And we had a lot of Bigfoot activity. You'll find all those pictures and stuff over there on my website with some of my teammates and stuff. It's a lot of fun. All right. Also, if you'd like to support what I'm doing, I have a Patreon. Also, all of my remote viewing data is posted on my Patreon, and I posted the remote viewing data about an hour ago on there. So, if you're a member of my Patreon, y'all go check it out. Follow along tonight with what Mark and I are going to be talking about. And if you'd like to become a member, just go to the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon. And I want to thank all of my supporters, all of my Patreon members. I do have a shop that's called War Woman Goods. Y'all go do some Christmas shopping over at War Woman Goods. It'll help a sister out. Okay, awesome. And I appreciate all of you guys for all your support. All right. Let's get to this crazy remote viewing target tonight. It's not really even that crazy, y'all. We talk about giants pretty often, and I have been assigned remote viewing targets which did involve giants in the past, including the giant of Kandahar. Okay, y'all remember that one? Also, the attack of the giant attack of the Okefenokee Swamp of 1829. That was one of my remote viewing targets a long time ago. And I'm trying to think of some others. Those are the 2 that I can think of off the top of my head. Okay. Well, tonight, let me go over this with y'all in case you are not familiar with what we're going to be talking about. A couple of weeks ago, a TikToker, his name is RB Cell, claimed he had encountered a giant human on the side of a mountain on Quartzville Drive in Santiam State Forest in Oregon. He said a stone door opened on the side of the mountain and a giant peered through the slot in this door. He said that on his TikToks, he gave a couple of updates as well. And he said that government vehicles had started following him around after he posted this video on TikTok. He said that he went back to the location after he had seen this and filmed this video, went back and took his wife. And when he got there, 2 white government vehicles did follow him up this mountain and he was able to ditch them. Okay, he was able to like get away from them. He took his vehicle and they kind of hid it somewhere where hopefully the government officials or whoever those people were wouldn't see it. His vehicle. They hiked back up. They had a whole bunch of really weird, high strangeness that started happening to them, including a large limb that fell down while they were walking up this hill to get up to that site where they had seen the giant, and a rock rolled down the hill. It scared them both to death. They had to run back down the hill. Let's just say from that point on, he was followed. Anytime he left his house, he was pretty much followed by white government vehicles, he said. Now, I did check his TikTok today and last night. I could not find any of his videos concerning these giants. Okay, so they have been removed, I do believe, and which is pretty suspicious. So we're going to go over my remote viewing data. The target was the incident where he did see this giant, where he claims to have seen that giant. Okay, and so to help me talk about all this tonight and to have a really awesome discussion on it, after a series of paranormal events, Mark Machek became interested in the paranormal, cryptids, and UFOs. Because of things he experienced, he embarked on a journey to understand the mysteries of the world. You guys know him as Cryptidville on YouTube and in the chats. Please help me welcome to the show tonight, Mark Machek.
Good evening, Jessica. Thank you for having me on.
Well, it's good to see you again.
It's good to see you as well. I'm honored that you have asked me to come on and discuss this topic with you this evening, and I'm also grateful for that. Thank you.
Well, of course, absolutely. I'm excited that you're here, and I mean, have you even heard about this giant? Okay, and I don't know. I'm not one that really watches TikTok very often. Okay, I'm not a TikToker. But were you familiar with this?
Actually, I had up until what it was presented by yourself as a show topic. I had not really heard. I mean, from time to time, I hear about things. I don't always have all the time to go in and look into each and every story that I hear about. But I did hear a mentioning of it, but I didn't really uh, get into the whole storyline and all the finer details of it. But I did do a little bit of a research on it prior to the show this evening, and came up with some pretty interesting things about that particular story, and also the uh, the the Dawson story as well.
Oh, the Dawson story. Okay, so the Dawson story, from what you're referring to, actually, is a gentleman named Andrew Dawson. Okay, because just to set the record straight right now, y'all, several people have encountered what they believe to be giants on mountainsides. And this is not just in the United States. Okay. This is in Canada and Mexico, down in Central and South America. There have been giant sightings, and people have taken videos of these giants. And some of the people don't, they get followed by government vehicles. And Andrew Dawson, this one gentleman, uh, people believe that he might have been taken out by the people who were following him, actually, for exposing these giants, and we can get into that a little bit today or tonight as well, okay? Because I think that these two incidences are very similar, okay? The one that we're going to be talking about tonight, and Andrew Dawson as well, the Andrew Dawson thing, Mark. They said that some people were saying that was a hoax.
Yeah, there were several things that came up about the story. I saw in a couple of investigative videos where things were mentioned about that particular story that uh, didn't really line up with uh, you know being or lending towards them being valid. And the one thing that's very interesting about it is, according to the newspaper. I mean, the one video that I saw said that basically the way the newspaper had it set up, was that you could actually go on and post a an obituary for someone on the website without actually having to go in or provide any paperwork. So I don't know how they do things in Canada, but
Oh,
um, every place that I've lived in, you actually had to go down to the actual newspaper office to submit an obituary. But I don't know, maybe they do things different up there. Um, but that was one thing that was kind of interesting about the whole the whole thing was that you could actually go on the website and do it without any proof. And
interesting.
yeah, very interesting.
Wow. This is this fella's obituary. Yeah, this is his obituary. This is Ryan Dawson. Um, we're gonna get into his story a little bit. If you guys are not familiar with him, there was the video that he made. This is a little excerpt from it. Y'all know I don't do red circles here at the Cryptid Hunters channel usually, but uh, but here we got a red circle, and this is allegedly a giant. Okay,
Yeah.
that he filmed on this mountain. Okay, and so listen, Mark, I gotta be honest. My printer gave out of ink, and so I wasn't able to print out my articles, but I do have them. Listen, I took screenshots so I can pull them up on the screen tonight. So before we get into the one that I remote viewed, we'll talk about this one, okay? Because this happened a little while back, and I got this from Anomalien anomalien.com. Okay, this is the article. It says the man who filmed the giant on the mountain died under mysterious circumstances. Okay, and parts of this article are just saying that something happened to him. He posted a video of a giant on a mountain on his TikTok account in early summer of last year, 2022. First, he was stalked. Then he made an embarrassing admission that his video was a hoax, and then he passed away. Okay. The mysterious giant figure on a mountain in Alberta. Dawson noticed by chance while driving to work with a colleague. He filmed the figure on video and then posted it on the internet, which may not have been the best idea, apparently. Okay. Because something really crazy happened. This guy he posted a lot of videos. He kept going online. I watched some of his videos. He started getting a little squirrely, okay, and getting it kind of paranoid because he felt like he was being followed. And long story short, it culminated in an obituary showing up, okay, and he kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. Now, Mark, that's very interesting that you said that about the obituaries. You not having to have like a death certificate or anything to post an obituary. That puts a whole other angle on it, you know. But I don't know this guy personally. I don't know if he really died or not, but he did have an obituary here. And people were saying that he had committed suicide. Okay. And some people think that he was actually taken out. So, but that asks the question, Mark, are giants that serious? Should we be worried about posting videos of giants? And why would the government come after somebody for something like that?
Well, I think it's important that before we get too far off into this conversation, I think we need to let people know that everything that we discuss this evening is going to be for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. We don't make any claims to anything that we say as being verified fact. Uh, it's all opinion because and the reason why I'm saying that is not that we're trying to be deceptive in any way, but because the information that we're going to relate
Mhm.
in this discussion, at least from my part, is based on research and research from others that I have not, been to those locations to actually physically verify. So, you know, the information is publicly available to you on YouTube, and you know, they can. The audience is more than welcome to check against those those videos and or those locations. But one of the things that's
Sources.
no, actually locations because you know
Good
one of,
job, Mark.
and the reason and the reason
Yeah.
why I say that is because in one of the videos that I checked out, that figure that they showed on the skyline at the top of the mountain,
Mhm.
the person that made that video actually says that there is a high frequency radio tower on top of that mountain that you can see in certain locations, but you can't see
Yes.
it in others. And also, yes, that right there is supposedly a an antenna array, which has several satellite dishes on top of it, or round uh, radio dishes. And then also, supposedly, when he went
Okay.
back and he was taking uh, the video and or pictures of this big uh, facility looking thing that appeared on top of the mountain that was actually a snow lift that was only viewable from certain locations. Now, I've not ever been to these locations, so I can't really say beyond a shadow of a doubt that that is 100% the case that you can see and can't see the these things from different locations. But when it was brought out
Right.
in the video, when the gentleman that was making that particular video talked about these things, what he filmed actually looked like what they were describing. So that was more information that provided towards it being um, possibly a hoax.
Okay. It could be. Now, I vaguely remember watching, some more of his videos where it looked like they had gone and built another structure there on that mountain within a day or 2 or something, almost like I think they said, like, the military had gone in and, like, set up some tents on the top of that mountain to
Yeah,
potentially cover something up, or I don't know.
that's that's what I was referring to as being an actual snow lift
Okay.
that is only viewable from a certain location.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
still,
Okay.
that
Interesting.
that
Okay. So, but it was a big deal, though.
correct. But still, I don't feel that if that is a fabricated story, I don't feel that um, uh, casts any shadow of validity or invalidity on the fact that there are people worldwide that are reporting that they're encountering actual giants. That there are reports that are coming out of places like Peru, Antarctica, the Solomon Islands, and within the U.S., there are people that are having supposed encounters in places like Hawaii and Colorado and Utah and New Mexico. So I don't think that it's I don't think that it's a scenario where everyone is lying and or misidentifying what they're seeing or misinterpreting what they're seeing. So even if one of those reports is right, then there is a basis for um, giants living in our world today. And if you look at it also from a biblical perspective, you know the Bible says that there will be giants, or as was in the days of Noah. That there will be giants that will be on the earth. So it's all very interesting, and um, my mind went blank there for just a second.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's extremely interesting, and I'm very interested in the giants right now. Obviously, I was going to say obviously. Honestly, I've been doing some research on Tartaria, okay, and the Tartarian Empire, and all these giants. We have giant skeletons all over the United States that have been found, and I know people who may or may not own a set of skeletons, okay, like giants. Um, that did not contact the Smithsonian, okay, because it seems as though there's been an active, they've taken active measures, okay, I'm calling out the Smithsonian tonight. Yes, I am, to hide these bones and to hide our history from us, or to, I don't want to say alter facts, but alter history. I guess I don't know. It's just fishy, Mark. I find it very fishy.
It
Okay,
is,
that we're
and
not told about these giants. I mean, they're really not in our history books. Hmm.
well, the thing about it is, a lot of people believe in the concept that uh, related historical document stories about giants in mythology. There are folks out there that believe that that is actually a historical record of sorts, even though we today classify it as mythology. But also, from the biblical perspective, there's mentioning of giants there as well from different other lands. Aside from the, uh, I think it was, uh, um, I'm trying to remember where exactly it was. I think when they went into the land of Og, but nonetheless, um, with all of that, I think that there's a concerted effort to keep that stuff under wraps because of the simple fact that, you know, from a perspective of, you know, control and manipulation against the people, you and I, and everybody in our audience, if the powers that be can control the narrative, they can control, you know, how we interact in our world day to day. And I think it's my opinion that if they acknowledge these things, that not only do they have to acknowledge them, but they have to, on some level, provide an explanation for what these things are and where they came from. And if they don't want
Yeah,
to do that, and I feel that the part of the reason could be that if the biblical narrative or storyline or history is the truth, they don't want that to be acknowledged. That's my perspective on it.
yeah. Okay. Everything that you just said, and I have not shown you my data for this target that I did. I have not shown you this data, but everything you just said is in my data for this target.
Hmm.
So I'm going to say you're on target, Mark. Okay. And so let's just get into it tonight. Okay. You're on
Okay.
target, bud. All right. Um, because this is a blind target. Okay. Um, I'm going to, okay. I did show all these pictures, right? I don't know if I've shown everything. I can't remember. I'm flying through the show tonight. Here we go. Okay. So I showed you guys a picture of this fella. Okay. This is, what was his name? This is this TikTok right here. This is RB Cell. RB Cell. Okay. If you go to his TikTok right now, it's public. The videos of the giants are missing. Okay. They're not there, or not the giants, but the area. Okay. This is a picture of the guy. This is RB. This is I took a screenshot from his video. Okay. This is a screenshot that says Rocky Top up Quartzville Drive. Okay. This is a picture of him describing what he saw. I believe this is when he went back for the second day, maybe. And this is definitely when he went back the second day, him trotting through the hillside with his wife. Okay. And I guess his wife was taking the pictures. going back up to see this, um, to see this. I just realized I didn't put a picture of that rock with the
Mm,
peephole in there. I didn't upload the picture. Oh my gosh, I thought I did. Um, so, anyways, all right. So let's go ahead and just get to the data, okay? Because the target was um, the incident of him seeing this giant. Okay, that's what the target is. Okay, so the first bit of data I wrote down. Okay, so my sensory data was. I'm just going to kind of touch on my sensory data. It was like flowy, natural, exposed, restless, something that was inside, angry, angry and hungry is what I wrote down. Okay, and there's some other stuff I wrote down too, but that's the gist of it. Now, my AOL, this is like things that I was hearing, things that I was experiencing. This was me making like trying to rationalize like what my sensory data was. The first thing I wrote down, Mark, government watch list. Government
hmm.
watch list. Okay, that's interesting, right? I wrote down monitored, under contract, and I heard monitored, under contract, and make contact and under contract, and then I heard hidden in plain sight, and then I wrote down the word Nephilim. Okay,
Hmm.
now I am not an expert on the Nephilim at all. Okay, I rarely even talk about the Nephilim on my show. Okay, but it comes up occasionally uh, in some of my shows, especially talking about the giants. Okay, and occasionally, sometimes when we're talking about Dogman. Okay, now you've had Dogman sightings and stuff, and I know you probably have an idea or an opinion or a view on the Nephilim. Okay, um, now we'll talk about that in a second, but let's continue. All right, I wrote
Okay.
down troublemakers, semantics, peace offering. Okay, and then I heard control the narrative. And then I heard truth hurts. And then I heard last out or something like that. It was like last out. I was picking up on something was hungry. Okay, hunger. Hunger kept coming up. Hungry, being hungry and hunger. Now, was that giant hungry and looking for something to eat? Maybe. Okay. All right. So my next page, I heard lash out. And then I heard, okay, and then I wrote down secret government programs. And then I wrote, and so the government program, the secretive government programs, that kept coming up. Um, and I wrote down Mockingbird and Hummingbird. And I have no idea if Hummingbird is an actual government program. I don't know. But that's what I
Hmm.
heard was Mockingbird and Hummingbird. I wrote down Gigantopithecus. Some of my sensory data, I was writing down caught, catch, a drone. Like a tangible thing that I saw was a drone there in this target. Um, and then I personally was feeling upset. Like I wrote down mental breakdown is what I wrote down. I wasn't having a
Hmm.
mental breakdown, y'all. Okay, but I was getting that feeling when I was there. And then I heard I wrote down all seeing eye, which could, it could mean a lot of different things. I wrote cover up at all costs is what I wrote down. Um, and then I heard beat them to the punch, join forces, and I kept hearing beeps. And I wrote down concave. Now that could be like I don't. I'm not going to try to reach and say that I meant to write down cave or anything like that. But I wrote down concave. But I heard that there's a real threat. Something about a black project, more government projects, more black project data, um, and blacklisted. I wrote down blacklisted, whistleblower, dangerous. So I think that
Hmm.
I think that I'm going to say I was on target with all this. I never wrote down the word giant, okay, in any of this data, but it was all very much to do with like government cover ups, black projects, Mockingbird, okay, like all this stuff. And now listen, this is for entertainment purposes only. Remote viewing data is not necessarily the end all be all, y'all. This is just for fun. I was looking into this for fun. I just want to state that right now. Like Mark said, we're just doing this. It's just an accent. It's a little flair to this TikTok information this guy gave. This guy's the one that exposed it. We're just talking about it, right, Mark?
Correct. Well, the thing that's kind of interesting about it is, when you compare the two, the Andrew Dawson and the RBD cell, uh, storyline. I mean, they're almost identical without the exception of an actual, obituary being presented. And one of the questions that was posed by the young lady that put the video out is why is, and this is verbatim as she posted in her video description, it's why is the government always cited when something other is witnessed? And I think it's kind of a two-part scenario, because um, you really have to break that question down into, yes, sometimes when people witness other or strange otherworldly things, there is a presence by the government, but also there's that scenario where when somebody witnesses something and they talk about it, or they publicly talk about it, then at some point after that, then there's some kind of government involvement, or uh, some agency involvement at some point. And I think there should be a separation made there in that question, because of those two factual scenarios that exist. Because in my second uh, dogman encounter, you know I can't say 100% that there was government involvement in there, but it sure looked like it to me. That they were somehow involved in controlling that thing. Uh, but like I said, I can't say that beyond a shadow of a doubt. Just that there was a presence there before and after that encounter. Um, but then also, on the other hand, I've had scenarios where I've seen things and I've talked about them with other people, and then there's something that has taken place on some level, um, to try to
Yeah.
put a little bit of intimidation out there to kind of keep me from talking about what I saw. And a lot of people may scoff at that and say, "Oh, that's grandstanding or whatever." I'm here to tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that that is very real. It does happen. Unfortunately, it happens to a lot of people who never say anything about it. And is it something that's enjoyable to go through? No, I'll be the first to admit that, because I've had it happen to me. Both types of scenarios, and it's just not fun. It's never fun that you have to look over your shoulder like that. But I think that on some level, there's probably, like I was saying, there's some kind of um, control by these groups being usurped upon um, these entities, or as people call them, cryptids, in the first scenario. And then there's kind of like a cleanup operation that takes place in the other aspect, is why there's sometimes involvement.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Sovereign Cosmic Wildman is asking, did something happen to this Oregon guy? Well, that's a good question, because he did drop off of social media for the past day or two, and his videos have been taken down. Perhaps he got a visit. Let's hope for the best. Okay, let's hope for the best, because according to this remote viewing data of that incident, he was treading on thin ice. Okay, very much so. When it came to something potentially that the government or whoever it is, these agencies. I mean, I had government all in my data. Okay, but there's people that have a vested interest in not having this be known to the public. Okay, whatever's going there, which 100% points to this being real. Okay, it does point that being real. This is for entertainment purposes only. I do repeat. Okay, but I do believe that this points to it being potentially real. There potentially being a giant there, and this is not the first time we've talked about this on my show. with having giants living in the mountains and in inner earth, hollow earth, in underground facilities. We've talked about the giant of Kandahar, Mark, before. I've remote
Mhm.
viewed that, and what was super interesting about that was that in that data that was a blind target, and I was picking up on um, people going to obtain a sample of a giant for off-world and cloning purposes. Okay, which I thought was kind of interesting. And the military did have, for according to what I've been told, they did have a helicopter on standby to lift a dead giant out of the area when that happened. Makes you wonder, right?
Well, one thing that comes to my mind when I think about that scenario, you mentioned off world and cloning, and a lot of people don't realize or
Mhm.
understand this about these. I'm going to call them quasi Nephilim because they're not true Nephilim. They're they're descended from the Nephilim. These beings that basically we're talking about. Um, I've heard accounts related from different folks that these entities or beings, um, they actually, everything is frequency vibration, and um, these beings,
Energy,
they had
energy.
yeah, they have a different or much higher energetic vibration than we do as humans. And some have reported even
Hmm.
to the point that we can't actually bear to be within real close proximity to them. And um, I think that that's probably some of the reason why um, there's great interest in utilizing the genetics from these things as potential clones or for use in off-world scenarios because at a different vibration than us or that we have, they may be able to stand uh, being exposed to different things that we won't be able to withstand. So it's and like I said, it's all speculation,
Wow.
theory, ideas and theory to think about, but it is definitely something to think about.
It is. Okay, well, that would explain also where I tell people um, to raise your vibrational frequency, and I think that that helps people as cryptid researchers, Bigfoot researchers, field researchers. I think that my team gets a lot of action out there in the field because we have a lot of us have raised our vibrational frequency. We've actively worked to do that, and to you know work on our psychic abilities and to utilize that kind of stuff because it does put you on a higher frequency so that we're able to experience the cryptids that are out there, and I think that would include these giants. Okay, because they do vibrate differently than we do. So that makes a lot of sense, Mark, a lot of sense, because that's what I always say. There are times where we're out in the field and some people will see orbs, and then the person standing beside you doesn't see anything. Okay, there's times where people see a Bigfoot out there, and then the people beside them see a squirrel. Okay, and so I think that does have a lot to do with the frequency, and what frequency you're on compared to what frequency they're on.
I've actually experienced that myself. Having a group of people, half of them could see something where the other half couldn't, and it's definitely very interesting. And um, but yeah, it's very interesting.
It is. Well, what's very interesting to me is why in the world are there giants in this mountainside? There's giants spotted. I mean, are they hiding? Are they waiting for something? Are they waiting for some orders to come out? you know, or are they just hiding from us? I mean, if according to this data, let's just assume that this data is right. Okay, let's just assume that this entertainment purposes only data could be correct. Um, why? Okay, is the government is obviously would obviously in that case be utilizing them for something? Could that be for war? You know, and I may be reaching here, but could it be to protect the citizens of the United States or to work against the citizens of the United States? Ah, that's a loaded question, Mark. What do you think?
Well, I'm just gonna give you my opinion, and my opinion on it is this. You know, when you look at the multitude of things that are being pointed at the citizenry at present, I do not think that utilizing these things, if they're hybridized creatures or beings, uh, I don't think that it would be for a good intent, just based on that fact alone.
Right.
Every system that we have in
Yeah.
place,
I would agree
even
with you.
even though it was originated as, to be a good thing to work for the people of the country, um, has been manipulated into something that has actually been weaponized against the people of the country. And I don't think that there's anything good about the concept of hybrid uh, chimeras, genetically engineered beings being used for a good purpose. I just don't see it. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, well, I talked pretty often about, let's just say, like, potentially governments or agencies using, utilizing cryptids in wartime, um, situations. Like, some say that there were werewolves used in Vietnam to go down into those holes where the Viet Cong were hiding out and stuff. Um, I mean, why would our government not use giants? You know what I mean? It seems like that would be a smart thing to do, right? It would be uh, smart, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm treading on thin ice talking about this tonight.
Well, you can never, um, the the old saying, the road to the bad place is paved with good intentions, right? And I don't, I don't, I don't know. That's a hard question to answer. Because I've heard similar instances where they've used, you know, supposedly cryptids for military purposes. Um, I don't know. That's a that's an interesting question that I probably shouldn't comment on.
Well, let's change the subject because I have some other stuff to talk about. Let's do that because I'm feeling a little sweaty right now. Okay. So when I get sweaty, it's time to change the subject a little bit. We're just going to veer off for a minute, and we're going to talk about Quartzville. Okay, because wherever my team we go out and we do our research, there is always a gigantic vein of quartz. Okay, and with this road that this mountainside is on, it's called Quartzville Drive. Okay, and Adolf is in the chat. He says that he was looking at that on Google Maps and found the door, actually found the doorway. I was watching another TikTok this afternoon of another woman who had been looking into this, and she found another door with a slit in it about several miles down the road, or maybe a mile or two down the road. So it seemed to be another entrance way to this mountain, inside this mountain. But something that, like I was saying, something that's very predominant in the areas where we go do our research is quartz. Okay. Um, I always bring home quartz from every location that I go and research. I have a whole gigantic collection of quartz. Mark, what do you think is the significance with quartz? Do you think that this could have anything to do? I'm not saying that this is supernatural with these giants. I think they're very much 3D, three dimensional. flesh and bone, just like you and I. But do you think there's some kind of significance with quartz and all this craziness that's going on?
Well, one of the things that I think is a possible explanation for there being increased activity and high strangeness around areas that have higher concentrations of quartz is, as we all know, quartz is a semiconductor and it holds energy. Um, and it has piezoelectric properties that allow it to do so. And this is just my opinion. There may be some who have the same opinion, and there may be some who don't. As soon as I say what I'm going to say, but if you look at things from a uh, from the whole paranormal perspective, right? And just so everybody's clear, paranormal and supernatural are words that we've created that allow us to feel better about things that we don't understand. There are probably perfectly natural explanations for everything that we experience in life, but because we don't understand how these things work, we slap these words on them to make us feel better about not having an explanation. So what I was going to say is with quartz, you know, there there is, when you start getting, and I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this without getting overly technical, because it does involve a little bit of quantum theory and stuff like that that a lot of people probably aren't familiar with and probably disinterested in. But when you start talking about, you know cloaking and changing your vibration, and the visible being invisible in our spectrum or of perception, those things happen because of vibration and the transference. There is a transference of energy somewhere in there, and I feel that quartz could be the conductor. Quartz could be the energy that these things need to complete those transformations. Um, and um, that's just my opinion on it, because in order for these things, you go into a known Bigfoot area, right? You've got your flashlights and your batteries for all of your equipment, and you're in there and you start having activity. The first thing to go belly up is your batteries, right? So something's draining those batteries. You get the same
Mhm.
thing in a paranormal scenario where you're ghost hunting. In order for those things to manifest and to happen, they have to obtain energy from somewhere for them to do the things that they do within our dimension. And I think that quartz
Mhm.
is a could be a major player in how these things are able to do the things that they do in those particular areas, and they may even be drawn to those areas because of the energy levels that are present. And that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I 100% agree with that, and I believe that you are. I believe you're right because I feel the same way. I think that quartz is a conductor. There's quartz. I think that potentially the energy from those quartz. I mean, we have quartz in our watches, right? They help our watches
Hmm.
tick and stuff, and they're in computers. I mean, we have crystals in our brains, in our bodies. I mean, um, from what I've been told. Okay. So I mean, I think that they'd use quartz potentially to even open portals and things like that. So I don't know. How about this? You had mentioned to me earlier off air something about gold mines and potentially having gold mines in the area. What's the connection there? Do you think?
Well, when I was doing my research on it this morning, I came across some information. There is a that is in a mining district. that Quartzville, Oregon area, and there are a lot of public and private mines in that area. What the connection actually is, I don't know, but I think it's very interesting that there is uh, quartz, gold, and these giants in the same area, and and it just is very very interesting to me that you would have those three things present in a lot, not only there but in a lot of places that have uh, giant or Bigfoot type activity. Um, it's to me it's very interesting what the actual, like I said, what the actual connection is. I don't know, other than the legends of them being guardians of the gold mines.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Do you mean the giants are the guardians of the gold mines? Because I've made a connection. My buddy Fred Roll, Alaskan subarctic Alaskan Sasquatch is his YouTube channel up in Alaska. Fred and I have done shows where we've made the connection of Bigfoot and gold mines. Okay. And so I believe that they could be, and I'm not the one that lives. Oh, I do live near a gold mine, actually. I do. I live near some gold mines. Um, and they're not in use anymore, but they're there. Actually, the city of Gold is just right down the road from where I live here in Georgia. Um, but we've made this connection of them potentially either protecting the gold or I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. So were you saying that the giants are the protectors of the gold and the gold mines?
Well, I'm not saying that, but there are people that postulate that that is,
Okay.
why they are in those areas. I don't know how many accounts I've heard of gold miners that are, they're down in a creek panning for gold, and then they hear um, something come up behind them on the creek bank, and there is uh, a Sasquatch or Bigfoot in that location that came in on them and basically ran them out of the area. Kind of interesting.
Mm,
I mean, they're not trying to
it
get
is
their food
interesting.
source or anything. They're not trying to get their
Hmm.
food source or anything like that. So why would they be concerned whether or not they were panning for gold?
That's right. That's right. And Hero has a very good point. I have not even thought about this tonight. Some giants are known to be cannibals, not all of them, but some of them. Whoa. Okay. So cannibalistic giants. Now, when I remote viewed the giant of Kandahar, I did pick up on a cannibal. Now, that would suggest that if they're eating humans, because they did attack and eat some of those soldiers. Okay. And there was more than one giant there. There were several. There were at least two or three. The U.S. military allegedly did take one of them out, unalived one of them. Now I don't know about the others, but I know they got one. But or at least I think they got one. That was in the data. Okay, and that's from what I've been told as well. Um, but if they're cannibals, that would mean that they have human DNA. If they're eating humans, little humans, okay, being a cannibal means you eat your own kind, right?
By definition, that's what it means. Yes. Um, so it all goes back to the big question of what these things could be. Are they descended from the Nephilim? Which, if they are, that would explain where the human genetics comes from. Or are they a undiscovered relic hominid, as a lot of people believe? And no offense to either camp, but we just haven't had proper um, the proper diagnosis is the term I'm going to use as to what these things are, and it it just is very interesting. And but likewise with that, um, if they're eating humans, I think that it falls back on, you know, because if you glance at the biblical perspective once again, it says in there, you know, as it was in the days of Noah, it relates that they were eating and drinking and you know marrying and giving in marriage and all that stuff. Now, when it talks about that, eating and drinking, the way that it's described there is very plain. But when you look at the interpretation of it, it actually means that the Nephilim and the Raphaim were actually eating humans and drinking human blood is what it means. So
Oof.
I think there is
Oh my
a
gosh.
connection, whether it be solely genetic or epigenetic, and a lot of people may not be familiar with that term, what epigenetics means, but basically it is how's a good way for me to explain it? It's like when you have, I'm trying to think of a good example. So they say that all so basically it's like a genetic trait that is passed down from an originating point, and even though that the the genetic trait isn't prevalent s- down the lineage, there that instinct to do or act or have certain attributes may be present without that uh, being recognized by the person or animal or whatever it is. So, like, I'm I'm trying to think of a good example, but I think probably the best way for me to explain it would be to correlate it with some of um, my early research, and um, I'm not really sure if I want to go there, but um, I'm kind of stumped as the way to explain it. So I'm going to pass it back over to you for a second, Jessica,
Okay.
what I think about this.
Okay. Now, Mark, you're a longtime Bigfoot field researcher and even dogman. Have spent a lot of time, and you've lived for a while around the land between the lakes up in Kentucky, and you've had a lot of experiences, and you know a little something about hearing about government cover-ups and things like that too. So you're very familiar with these topics. I thought you were a perfect co-host to bring on with me tonight to talk about all this. So I appreciate. Gosh, I actually did write down Nephilim, or that's part of my data for this target. So it's got a connection here. All this is so connected. And Amy, thank you so much for that super chat. You are so sweet. I love you, girl. Yes, this is a tricky topic. It is, and that's why it's for educational purposes only and entertainment as well. Okay. um, but yeah, wow. I mean, this is something for us to think about. It's something to ponder. With the internet and social media, everybody having their cell phones in their hands at all times. Mark, it's really easy to get video. Okay, these people are getting pretty good but grainy pictures. Now, this guy from TikTok, the one that I looked into with this remote viewing target, he didn't have a video of the giant. Okay, but
Correct.
other people have had videos of giants, and some of them have allegedly been disappeared off the face of the earth. Okay, and so yeah, I honestly don't recommend people taking videos and posting them to TikTok when it comes to these giants. giants. That's just me, though. As careful as you and I are being tonight about the way we're putting out this information and talking, it's something that I would not recommend you guys doing. Okay, I would not. But I also don't. We also need full disclosure on this too. So where's the line? Where do we draw the line, Mark? There needs. I'm a total proponent for disclosure on the giants, on Bigfoot, on Sasquatch, the Dogman, aliens, everything. I mean, should I be worried? I mean, where do we draw the line with all this? You think?
Well, the interesting thing about it, and like I said earlier, there's a lot of folks who may have the view that all this talk about, the government trying to shut people up, um, you know, they may think that that's a bunch of hoopla or whatever, but the reality of the world that we live in is that people have been shut up, and I'm using shut up as a as a as a verb, more so in this statement, but people have been shut up for a lot less than what we're talking about, and that's the reality of it. And I can attest from personal experience, it is a very intimidating thing to be visited. But the thing that we have to decide, and each individual person has to decide this for themselves, is how far are they willing to go? How far are you willing to let somebody intimidate you into keeping information to yourself? Um, you
Mhm.
know, that's a decision that each person has to make for themselves. And
Yeah.
um, you know, it's very, very interesting because I mean, I think the big trick is putting enough information out to protect yourself. Because if you have enough information that you can release to do that, it would be okay. But the problem is that most people don't have enough evidence or information to validate the things that they're saying to offer up that protection.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, just go with your gut. Decide if you're gonna, if just go decide for yourself if you're gonna be strong enough to like um put it all out there. If you're gonna put it out there, put it all out there. That's basically what you're saying. Like, just put it out there.
Correct.
If the government or agencies or whoever it is know you got the goods, just go ahead and put it all out there, and check in with your family. And if you're going so public on social media, check in on social media every day, because this one guy, this what's his name, RB Diesel, nobody's heard from him today. Okay.
Mm,
But I also understand when you start putting out information like this too, it and you start getting followed. I mean, I've had a proverbial knock at my door one time. It wasn't as serious. It wasn't that serious. It wasn't serious like being followed. You know what I mean? And I took it as I was happy I got it. Actually, I'd rather get that than something different, something worse. Okay. Um, a good talking to never hurt anybody. Now, if I get followed by white government vehicles, then I got an issue. Okay. But like I said, we just do entertainment purposes only shows over here at the Cryptid Huntress. um, yeah. But yeah, and I'm saying all this coming from a Bigfoot, like a paranormal field researcher who, with our team, we don't always put all our information out there for the general public and stuff, because, and partly that is, there's a lot of reasons. And I've gone on people's shows and I've had people in the chat get mad, like, why are you holding this information? Or are you a gatekeeper and all that kind of stuff? No, not at all. We're just in the middle of researching. And when you're researching, you can't just put all your information out there when you're actively researching something and trying to find answers to stuff. Not all the time, but there's a time and a place, and this information will be released when we figure out what the heck we're dealing with. You know what I mean?
And I
So
think that a lot of people in the community, they don't have uh, the proper perspective when it comes to information like this. You know, in in some cases they don't have the proper perspective because you know each one of us has a family. We have siblings, children, spouses that aren't involved in this stuff in any way, and you have to consider their safety as well when you're putting out this information because and some don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm scared, but uh I think it's very selfish to take the path of putting out information over providing protection for your family. And, some people have
yeah,
a problem understanding that
yes,
because I
especially a
guarantee you,
single mom, y'all. I
yeah.
know.
I
Yeah.
mean, from my personal perspective, I guarantee you that I could start talking right now, and 3 hours from now, when the conversation ended, I would disappear sometime in the middle of the night. I guarantee you that would happen.
No, don't do it. Yeah,
But,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
would I be the only one that would go? Probably not.
Oh, now you're getting spicy with it. All right, now we're saucy. Okay.
So,
That's
it's just
saucy, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it.
things for people to take into consideration. It's not always about you know what you can talk about, and oh, I've got this information or this photo, and yeah, that stuff's cool, but when it starts endangering people for real, it's not cool.
Yeah, that's right. I 100% agree with that statement. Absolutely. And Jennifer, thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Yeah, we have to protect ourselves. Okay, like, is it all worth it? I don't know. Is it all worth it? Not your life. Losing your life over something. Like, first of all, being TikTok famous. Like, it's not worth losing your life or your freedom over. Okay, that's just my opinion. Okay, so, um, and I think you'd probably agree with me on that, Mark.
Oh yeah, I do, definitely. That's why I don't
Yeah.
talk about a lot of stuff.
Okay. I know, right? Well, and I know that I'm walking a tightrope sometime on some of these shows that I do, but I just feel like we're just talking about it. We're just having a discussion because I think that we, as American citizens, not all of us are American citizens. There's people from all over the world. I see you, Jorgen. Hey, buddy. Thanks for being here tonight. And the UK, there's people in here from all over the world tonight, and I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. But I value my freedom, but I also value the fact that I can I can talk about this if I want to. Okay. Maybe not
Oh
always on
yeah,
YouTube, I can't, but I can go to Rumble and talk about whatever I want. Because we have that ability to do that. And we should be questioning the narratives, y'all. We should question it. And don't
question
always don't
everything.
always believe everything you're told.
Question
Question
everything.
everything. Yes, and question everything. Yeah. And you guys, y'all know y'all can go over to cryptiville.com where the truth lives too, right? Right, Mark?
Mhm. Yeah, I guarantee you,
Yeah.
it's nothing but the truth.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, wow, this has been amazing. Do you have any final thoughts on all of this, Mark? Like, any final thoughts on what we talked about tonight?
Well, I think my major takeaway from the whole thing is, with the similarities between the Dawson and the RBD cell stories, there were a lot of similarities. Um, are they identical? Are they real? Are they fake? I don't know. It's interesting. Um, But I mean, the I think a lot of it goes down to the methodology. The things that are being said and the things that are supposedly happening, uh, they don't really line up with you know what what I know to in my opinion, and granted this is my opinion, in what I know to be real. I mean,
Mhm.
the things that happen would not happen that way in if it were real. And that's just my opinion, you know. But are there giants out there? Yes, I'm pretty
Cool.
pretty pretty sure that there are giants out there. They may not be in Quartzville, Oregon, but they are definitely out there somewhere.
Oh yeah, they're somewhere. Do you okay, here's another question. I don't know. You don't what do you think about inner earth? Do you think that there's an inner earth and potentially there could be giants living down there? And even dogman potentially. Anything, any kind of cryptid.
Well, I think that it's definitely a possibility because I mean, if you look at the Robert Byrd, Admiral Byrd diary, when he supposedly went to the inner earth,
Yeah.
there were a lot of things that he recorded in his writings that lead to the possibility that there were even prehistoric animals and just different things that were in the inner earth that are not topside, and that would also explain why occasionally, like in the mountains of North Georgia, people are seeing raptors, velociraptors. Why sometimes people,
Velociraptors. Yeah.
yeah, why sometimes people encounter those things is because there is a glitch in the matrix somewhere, or
Yeah.
these things are coming to
Glitch.
the surface.
I'm glitchy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're coming to the
So,
surface. There's no veil anymore. If you believe in the veil, and we talk about the veil being lifted, I just don't know where did the veil go, man. There's no veil anymore for a lot of this stuff. I think that's kind of what's going on too. The truths are being exposed right now, and that includes
oh
the
yeah.
cryptids and the giants. Yeah, yeah. Do you think this is like an end of the world, like revelations type of scenario we got going on right now?
Well, I think it could be getting close. Do I know for sure? Well, the answer to that question has been already been answered. Nobody knows, right? So
Yeah.
the only thing I can offer up to anybody is, and before anybody goes off the deep end, yeah, I realize I had my hands up like this. I was not trying to do the. I was not trying to do this. I was trying to do this because of the glitch in the
Symbolism.
matrix.
I see you.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, before anybody goes off the deep end on that, uh, but yeah, I think that everything that we're experiencing right now is a precursor to that time, and the only thing I can offer up is you know from from my personal perspective is and this is one thing that really tears me up when I hear people do this. You know, people that are supposed to be in the know about you know the Word of God and the workings of the Bible and all that. When they say, "Well, I just can't wait for that time," or I can't wait. for the rapture. You better be, convincing yourself that you need to be asking for a little bit more time, in my opinion, because none of us are perfect, and that's just my opinion. And I
Yeah.
don't think that it's necessarily the correct path to take in seeking that. So
Yeah. Well, I hope it's not the end times, man. I hope not. Uh, but hey, I'm here for the ride. Whatever we got, whatever the universe is throwing at us, I'm here for it. So, and this has been a fantastic show tonight. Oh my gosh, everybody in the chat, you guys have been
definitely
y'all
interesting.
have been fantastic, man. Y'all are the fantastic ones. Yeah, we got a wonderful comments tonight, and yeah, the Smithsonian does kind of suck, y'all. I know. I see y'all. I see those comments in there. There's been an active attempt to cover up everything. Okay, like cover up a lot of our history, and it's not just the Smithsonian. It's in our books, public schools. You know, Mockingbird Media. All that Mockingbird was in my data for this target, y'all. Okay, so go figure.
And
Go figure.
and
But
I,
yeah. Well, Mark. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to our interaction about this subject. And I do want to apologize. I I did not have uh, a uh, I can't see the chat. So if anybody said anything, I apologize for not being able to see the chat. I did not think to open up another browser on one of these other computers I have here, but I
You've
I
only
do
got 20
apologize.
computers in front of you. You could.
Hey! You can't be telling everybody I got Space Command, NASA Controls Center sitting
I
here.
know you do. And it's like the Truman Show over there. I don't know what you're controlling, but you got plenty of computers. I told Mark to send me a computer, y'all. He's got plenty of computers over there. So there's no excuses, Mark. Okay. Oh my gosh. No, all the comments have been fantastic tonight. I mean, I was not able to put up all the comments tonight. It was just there was a lot. We'd be here all night, y'all. And but I do appreciate every one of y'all and all of your comments. I saw almost every single one of them. I did have to skip through because I get so far behind. And I want to give a big thank you and a shout out to Don Tart in the chat. I got Don here. He's one of my teammates. He was out at the troop herd corridor with me this weekend with our team. And he was there when my son had potentially saw his first Bigfoot this weekend, y'all. Uh, it was awesome. So thank you for being here, Don. And Mark, thank you so much. Gosh, you are
Thank
full of
you.
knowledge. This was amazing. Can you tell the audience where they can find you and tell them about your YouTube channel and your website?
Yeah, my website is cryptoville.com, and likewise named YouTube channel. Not It's Cryptidville on YouTube, not the cryptoville.com, but I'm sure if you type that in there, it will pull up in the search because I do have it listed there. And I just want to encourage everybody to check it out. I don't have any answers. A lot of speculation, and a lot of experience in the strange, the odd, the abnormal, paranormal, supernatural. Um, if if you can have an experience in it, the only thing I haven't had an experience with is and I've got a friend that's kind of intrigued by this, but I have not had any encounters with a Wendigo, and I'm not trying to either. But I've got a friend that's
Oh,
severely interested in that. Sorry, I draw
oh
the
my
line at
gosh.
dog man.
Okay, well my you draw the line at dog man. Oh my gosh. Well, dog man's pretty scary there. My son actually he loves he'd love to see a Wendigo, but he's really dead set on going and hunting skinwalkers. Okay. Now I've
Hmm.
had to study on what to do if I encounter a skinwalker. Okay. And I've potentially been in a cave where we were expecting to run into a skinwalker or two or more.
Wow.
And so I've had to deal with that. I didn't see one though. Yeah. Skinwalkers are scary, Mark. Okay. Super scary. But yeah. A Wendigo. I always wonder about Wendigos. That's just something I've never even done a show on Wendigos. I don't know a whole lot about them. So maybe you will
Not.
get your wish. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. I don't have any desire to have any interactions with a Wendigo. Um, I tell you what, little people interactions are freaky. Um, I've had a couple of those weird, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting stuff, man. Well, you're Cryptidville. I assume you have had plenty of cryptid sightings. And yeah, and so everybody, please go over to Cryptidville on YouTube and definitely check out his. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel, and also go to his website. He's got some really top notch videos on his website. Your website is really awesome, and I am honored to be
Thank you.
featured on your website. I've seen a video or
Oh,
two of mine on there, so thank you for that.
I'm going to be adding some more
Awesome,
soon too.
awesome. Okay, good, good. Well, I hope you add this video to it because this has been a fantastic show tonight. And so yeah, I want to thank everybody. Thank you guys for the super chats. Amy and Jennifer, you guys are the best. I appreciate y'all so much. And to all my moderators that were here tonight, you guys rock it out every single time. And to everybody, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to the Cryptid Huntress over here on YouTube and to Cryptidville on YouTube. And I want you guys to please come see me this weekend. I'm going to be at Spaced Out Radio. I'm a weekend host at Spaced Out Radio. I will be there at 10 p.m. Eastern, both Saturday and Sunday nights. So y'all come see me. And then I'll be back here next week. All right, Mark. Well, listen, this has been awesome. I hope you
It's been
have a
fun.
wonderful, wonderful evening.
You
Yeah,
too.
please come back. Will you come back and hang out with me again?
Sure.
I like you being my co-host, man. This was fun.
Sure.
Okay,
Anytime.
awesome. We'll plan on it. All right. Okay, perfect. Awesome, y'all. Well, y'all have a great night. Mark, you have a wonderful night, and I'll see y'all
You
this
too.
weekend. Bye, y'all.